starting, I would like to remind you some rules of our online meeting participation. So, dear colleagues, please be so kind. Turn off your microphone. Regarding your video, maybe in order to provide better connection, you can turn off your video as well. But up to you with video. If you have good connection, up to you. So, in order to start, I would like Ignacio, as a coordinator of our project, to say something as introduction. And for other members, I would like to remind that there are so-called 3 different groups of our participants today. First of all, POWER4BIO partners, and Ignacio, I hope will say something about our project. After that, we are talking about regional stakeholders from Lviv region, and finally, some persons who were registered through our website possibilities. So, thank you all of you for participating in our online meeting. It's very important for us. And dear Ignacio, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Orest. Good morning. Well, first of all, I would like to say that I'm sad for not being with you, Orest, physically in your beautiful country. It is really a pity. Nevertheless, I'm very happy to see you, at least on the screen, and to see so many people connected, because POWER4BIO doesn't stop, and we are here for joining forces together and to explore different ideas which could help everyone along the execution of the POWER4BIO. As a project, POWER4BIO aims at fostering bioeconomy strategies regardless of the maturity of the bioeconomy situations in each of the 10 regions which participate in the project. We are in total 17 partners, and then all of us committed to sustain, shape, and help as much as we can towards improving everyone's bioeconomy performance. Then one of the key elements of the POWER4BIO project is indeed the technical visits, and the technical visits are meant to facilitate the understanding of where the different regions of POWER4BIO are. And then this is the reason why we are here today, to understand what Orest and his colleagues so kindly will share with us. And then I encourage everyone to really take care of the messages they will share with us, because at least I saw at front the presentations they have developed, and they are extremely promising, and I do believe it will be very, very important and very inspiring for all of us. Last but not least, I would like to say and to share with everyone that the POWER4BIO, as I also pointed out several times before, is drawing the attention of many people across the EU, and especially from the European Commission. And then this means that it is very good for everyone, because we have, I would say, an additional asset in our hands to use to foster our messages, to gain visibility of what we want to do, of what we can propose. Then it is in our hands to take advantage of this privilege and to share our thoughts, not only among us, but in front of those who are also policymakers, and to express our ideas and hopes, and to share our thoughts with them. Then again, this opportunity, as for today, in the discussions that we will undertake in a few minutes, is again a new opportunity for all of us to learn and to exchange. And I kindly invite everyone to facilitate this exchange of information chaired by Orest and his colleagues. And last but not least, unless Orest you want me to proceed with no further delay, thank you everyone for being here, and especially Orest, it is a privilege for all of us to be here, and we are looking forward to knowing more about your region and your expectations. Thank you so much for your time, and keep on working together.
Thank you, Ignacio. And now I would like to ask Laura from DFBZ, maybe you will be able to say a few words as a leader of working package number 5, where we are elaborating our bioeconomy strategy. Please, Laura.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Orest, as well for the opportunity. Just in a couple of minutes, I want to highlight the great work that the region of Lviv have been doing. We've been working, many of you already know, but for some of those that are not involved in the project, we're working in Work Package 5 on guiding our regional actors into developing new regional bioeconomy strategy. It's a work that has come from starting to bring the stakeholders together in what we call regional bioeconomy hubs. That was successfully achieved by all the 5 East European regions last year, and then they developed their own vision as well, and have been working in an accelerated project to develop their bioeconomy strategy. We have seen already in advance some of the material that they have developed, the analysis, the well-done analysis. We have to mention that of the SWOT analysis from Lviv region, including several of their regional stakeholders from government, universities, industries, included as well the Forest Council of the region, and we're very glad that we are all together today, since it is part as well of this process, which needs this feedback from several actors to discuss today in the workshop these actions that the region of Lviv have already decided for themselves, and to be able as well to do a knowledge transfer exercise today with them. So I'm very glad that we are all here, and I'll give back the word to you, Orest.
Thank you, Laura. And finishing our introduction, I would like to say that we plan to conduct, it seems to me, 10 cross visits within the framework of our POWER4BIO project, and I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, but this is the first cross visit that we are going to conduct online. And therefore, dear Istvan, as a leader of work package number 6, a few words, please, Istvan.
Thank you, Orest, and good morning, everybody. Yes, as Orest mentioned, we are the leader of the VP6, where we would like to increase the capacity and knowledge of the regional stakeholders through the training program and by mentoring exchange of experience between the regions. Thank you, Orest.
Thank you, Istvan. So, dear colleagues, can you see my presentation?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we see.
Yes, thank you. So, good day, dear colleagues, again, dear POWER4BIO partners, dear invited person. First of all, I would like to remind you that due to current situation in Ukraine and in the European Union, a joint agreed decision was made, and instead of cross visit to Lviv, we are going to hold 2 separate events. The first event, online presentation of the Lviv bioeconomy strategy, and we are going to start in a few minutes, and the second event, meeting only for regional stakeholders, that will be held in Lviv after normalization existing situation in reference to virus outbreak. So, dear colleagues, let's start. Here you can see agenda of our today's meeting. We will start with introduction, then presentation from our regional stakeholder. After that, we would like to introduce you logical chain of preparatory process in the Lviv region, and then main presentation that will be dedicated to bioeconomy strategy. Finally, workshop. We have sent to you some questions in advance, and every region of our project will have 2 or maybe 3 minutes in order to suggest some their ideas concerning Lviv bioeconomy strategy. As you can see here, main ideas of our online meeting are the following: to present for our partners draft strategy, to identify the main pros and cons, and to remark future steps and to develop future direction. So, dear colleagues, our idea is very simple. The more remarks from you, the more suggestions from you, the better for us. because only in such way we will be able to create a really useful and fruitful bioeconomy strategy for our region. Today, we are going to present you only the draft version of our bioeconomy strategy, and therefore we hope for our active participating. So, dear colleagues, a few words about my university. My university is situated only 60 kilometers from European Union border, in one of the most beautiful cities around the world, in Lviv. So, I said the most beautiful, maybe because I was born here many years ago, and nevertheless, let's consider Lviv as the capital of the Western Ukraine. Sometimes we call my beautiful city as a cultural capital of overall Ukraine, sometimes as a coffee capital of Ukraine, but nevertheless, believe me, dear colleagues, Lviv is really one of the most beautiful cities around the world, and I do hope that you will be able sometimes in future to visit my city. So, Ukrainian National Forestry University, as you can see in this slide, was founded in 1874. And now, my university is only forest higher education institution in my country. So, as you can see, there are approximately 3,000 students in my university, 300 teachers, 30 professors. We have 33 departments and 4 institutes in my university. You can see in this picture administrative building of my university. Please be so kind, turn on your microphone. Thank you. We have written some slogan of my university on this administrative building. As you can see, ad naturem vivere dissimus. Ad naturem vivere dissimus. Translating into English will be the following sentence. Let's learn to live in harmony with nature. Let's learn to live in harmony with nature. As you understand from vision of my university, bioeconomy is one of our priorities. So, within the framework of our international strategy, we would like to raise the educational, research, administrative activities of our university to the level of international standards. We would like as well to strengthen the research and innovation potential, and of course, we would like to enhance its attractiveness to domestic and foreign consumers. So, as you can see here, there are a lot of different international projects. We are talking not only about Horizon 2020 project. Of course, we mean cost action, some other project, Baltic University program, Tempus Stasis project. Generally, we have more than 60 bilateral agreements. So, there are 4 institutes in my university. Institute of Forestry and Park Garden Management, Institute of Woodworking, Computer and Technology Design, Institute of Engineering, Mechanics, Automation and Computer Integrated Technologies, Institute of Ecological Economics and Management. So here in this slide, I try to present you maybe the most successful researching of my university. I mean rising productivity and biological sustainability, close to nature forestry, investigation of food mechanical and physical properties, resource efficiency in woodworking and furniture industries, environmentally safe and resource-saving technologies, designing forest roads, sustainable development, environmental policy, forest policy, economic of forestry, and of course forest sector development. So, dear colleagues, I understand you, and now you can ask me about some difficulties, about some challenges, because before this slide, I try to present you some of our successful achievements, and of course, you can ask me about some difficulties, about some challenges. I would say, of course, there are some difficulties for my university, and not only for Ukraine. I mean, here, that first of all, number of university entrants gradually decrease. I mean that we cannot consider all so-called forest, agricultural, and even bioeconomy specialties as a very popular ones. I mean lack of financing as well. In order to overcome all mentioned challenges, my university suggested some innovation. First of all, greening of education. It means that all our specialties, all our students are learned to use environmental thinking. I would say to use ecological approach. You know, there are a lot of specialties in my university since we educate students for overall forest sector, beginning from forestry and woodworking technology. I would say that our university completely imitates structure of any forest sector, and therefore we have more than 20 specialties, beginning from forestry, woodworking technology, furniture technology, and finishing IT specialties and pulp and paper specialties. And you know, to implement this ecological approach is not so easy because it's not so easy, I would say, for engineering specialties. You know, we have some difficulties here as well. Maybe 3 years ago, I had some discussion with the rector of Rothenburg University of Applied Science from Germany. This Rothenburg University of Applied Science is very similar to my university. We so-called this university as Green University as well. Approximately the same specialties, 3,000 students, and maybe something like this. But you know, we agree with this professor that 30 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, we agreed that sustainable development will be the priority of our so-called Green University. And we are moving on this direction. We have written on our flags sustainable development, ecology, and something like this. But you know, the difficulties, I mean that there are a lot of universities around the world that have written the same on their flags, sustainable development. It doesn't matter, Green University, Classical University, or maybe some other university. They want to move in sustainable development direction as well. And therefore, you know, dear colleagues, in these conditions, we have to find some distinctive features of my university. And therefore, for us, close cooperation with business and active learning is very important points. And you know, as far as you understand, in order to implement close cooperation with business and active learning, POWER4BIO project is one of the most important projects in our university. So now a few slides that will present you answers on the following questions. Why did Lviv region join the consortium? How does Lviv region interpret the POWER4BIO project? And what result does Lviv region expect? So a few numbers about my region. The area of the Lviv region makes up 22,000 square kilometers. The population makes up approximately 2.5 million persons. We have 60% of urban population and 40% of rural population. There are 20 districts in my region, 9 cities, 35 urban type settlements. So, why bioeconomy? You know, in order to finally persuade our regional stakeholders why bioeconomy is so important, I use 3 arguments: carbon sinking, renewable resources, and European trend. In more detail, carbon sinking. I said 3 years ago for our regional stakeholders that, you know, dear colleagues, unfortunately, my country participates in real war. But, dear colleagues, CO2 emissions we can consider as our enemy as well. Renewable resources. I call to renewable resources and something like perpetuum mobile for our regional economy. And the European trend. Of course, 60 kilometers from European Union border advise us that we should take into consideration of European Union trends as our closest neighbor. So, why the Lviv region? Bioeconomic potential, and we will have today possibility to consider bioeconomy potential and to analyze it. Economic progressiveness. I would say that there are a lot of very progressive ideas in my region. We have very nice public-private partnership. Forest sector council existing. We will analyze this point today, and favorable location, which we consider location in regard to European Union location. Cheap labor force. cheap resources. Not always, and I understand that point number 6 and point number 7 are disputable ones, but nevertheless. What results Lviv region expect from the regional bioeconomy development? In our opinion, the industry will be adapted to the new economic realities. We will have strategy for future development. Of course, we are talking about exchange of experience. It seems to me we will provide leadership of the region. We would like to strengthen our public-private partnership. We will have new instruments, and of course, we expect raise of employment rate. From POWER4BIO project, we expect new experience, new knowledge, new skills, some methodological advices, interest to the Lviv region from European Union as well. So, dear colleagues, a few words about Ukraine. I have prepared for you a few playful questions in reference to the Ukraine, and I hope you will know more about Ukraine after that playful questions. First of all, about Ukraine, a few numbers. Area of my country. Do you know what is the biggest country by area in Europe? Yes, you can guess this is Ukraine, because area of my country makes up 600,000 square kilometers. Population, approximately 40 million. Do you know what is the Ukrainian flag mean? Blue color stands for blue sky, and yellow color stands for yellow land field. Suitable flag for bioeconomy development. So, do you know something about Ukrainian national clothing? It is embroidered blouse or sheet. There is something very similar in other countries as well. Do you know where the center of Europe is? Yes, dear colleagues, geographic center of Europe is in Ukraine. It was defined, by the way, by the Austrian-Hungarian research. Do you know what is the longest musical instrument? Yes, we call it trombita. Trombita may be up to 8 meters long, and it's made out of wood hit by the lightning. So, do you know what is the biggest airplane in the world? Yes, Maria is the heaviest aircraft, and by the way, we are using this aircraft nowadays within the framework of our outbreak conditions. And do you know something about Ukrainian national food? So, dear colleagues, I don't want to present you online Ukrainian food, because we do hope, we extremely believe that sometimes in future we will be able to visit my country and taste it, all our food. So, this was a last slide of our today's introduction. And now, dear colleagues, I would like to ask my colleague Volodymyr to tell us about the activity of the Economic Development Agency PPV Knowledge Network in reference to the green economy development in the Lviv region. You know, we cooperate with Volodymyr, it seems to me, during last 10 years. He is very clever and very active guy. And dear Volodymyr, I am trying to pass your power.
Hi to everyone. I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me? Because it's always kind of, you don't know if people can hear or not.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, good. Thank you, Orest. I'm waiting to see how I can. Now I'm the presenter. So first of all, thank you for invitation. My pleasure to be here with you at this POWER4BIO cross-visit meeting. I will be presenting kind of some food for thought for you about the activities of our agency, what we are doing. I'm just trying to see how I can present here. Let me see. Okay. Slideshow. Hopefully you will be able to see that. Okay, so I'm working and representing the Economic Development Agency PPV Knowledge Networks. It's a private economic development agency set up 12 years ago here in Lviv. What we are doing, we are working as project managers, as business consultants, as analysts. We work across several practices. One of them is green economy. You see that on your screen. We are a business information support center set up under EU for Business initiative managed by European Bank of Reconstruction and Development. There are 15 such centers which are catering for SMEs needs across the country. A couple of words about what actually we do for business, for international programs, for projects, and we work with like very micro businesses to very large institutions like European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. For instance, what we do is we manage different business support programs, and in this regard, we have a close cooperation with regional oblast administration, with Lviv City Council, and various other councils across the country. We provide business consulting, strategic sessions, implementing and developing strategies for various SMEs. For instance, we worked with one of the largest beech products producer in Europe, which is based here in Western Europe, in Western Ukraine, developing their strategy for the next 5 years. We're also known for our CSR, corporate social responsibility practice programs that we are doing mostly to large national companies. So that provides you kind of the idea what we're doing. It's more economic development through programs and through direct consulting to SMEs. Whom we work with, again, very small companies, then some medium businesses. For instance, this Iris Group that I was mentioning is a leading beech producer in Europe, top 5 company, exporting primarily to Asia, Southeastern Asia, and to China, and now expanding to US and Europe kind of as a side thought at the moment. Then Adamson is a leader on the energy efficiency services. They're providing energy audits, managing various projects. It's a leader in the energy efficiency professional services market, and we developed their corporate strategy. Large enterprises and companies, we've worked for many years with DTEC. It's the largest energy generating and distributing, and in general, one of the largest power companies in Central and Eastern Europe. We worked on various CSR projects with them, and the better known to you international organizations. So I skip that. And then what we do, we develop also quite many analytical studies. So through various projects, and my presentation I built around 3 such projects where we spent quite some time expanding, exploring, studying, and hopefully it would give you some idea about what about our region. Moreover, our agency is also kind of business angel. We're just exploring this area. We invested 3 years ago into the Lviv brand of wooden toys. Then it's expanding, growing, so it's a micro business. Just as a joint venture, we invested into designers. There are 2 other designers who are co-owners, and that's an example how you can generate more value from wood actually by producing, for instance, wooden toys. And another, our investment project, where the bigger one, larger one, it's a 680 square meters business hub in Lviv, where also our offices are located, but we also have a co-working and providing offices to other small companies in Lviv. And that's another, like with the COVID pandemic, we had as many other businesses also to deal with the kind of what to do with this business when you can't conduct a business in times of pandemic. So, and that's, I'm sure you know, that's all across the board, across Europe, this crisis situation. So, one of the projects that we dealt for almost 3 years was developing a Novyi Rozdil Industrial Park. Novyi Rozdil is located just 30 kilometers south of Lviv, in Lviv region, and it's a former site of sulfur mining. So it's 2,200 hectares of post-industrial brown field. which used to be one of the largest open pit sulfur mining in Europe, actually. Then it was abandoned due to various economic regions, and then the area just was sitting there for many years, completely contaminated, dilapidated, and very like in this mono-industrial town of Novyi Rozdil, which was set up in 60s specifically for this plant. Was not developing. So with EU funding, we managed to clean up 23 hectares of this area, which is really just a drop in the ocean of the overall 2,200 square hectares of this area. And also we registered the industrial park, which is meant to host industrial production companies. This is something which is rather new in Ukraine. Across European Union, there are multiple industrial parks or areas which are prepared by local authorities for production companies and industrial companies. But in Ukraine, it's still something new. Hardly any operating industrial parks with ready-made facilities, with the engineering infrastructure in place for companies to start their operations. And Ukraine is just learning how to operate at that scale to set up such projects. Even this project, we just managed to clean the area, to do the documentation for the engineering infrastructure. And for the last 2 years, nothing has been done there because of the changes in the government and because of the lack of funding for such large-scale projects. We don't have here EU structural funds, not yet. They're slowly coming, and therefore, quite often local authorities who want to do something on the industrial scale, they actually don't have money, or regional authorities to do something. Now, again, it's changing. More EU funding is coming to Ukraine. The government also before the pandemic at least was pouring money there. And just provide you some ideas about this Novyi Rozdil Industrial Park and why I'm presented it to you, because the idea was, after consultation with stakeholders and analyzing quite extended analysis of the potential for the industries, which new industries could emerge or which investors could come and set up in that park, we came up with the idea that Novyi Rozdil should be eco-industrial park. So it should be catering for the kind of green industries. And what we mean by that, there are 3 areas. One is the products for resource efficiency. It means anything which is producing more efficient boilers or smart home appliances or industrial solutions for energy efficiency, machinery for alternative energy industries, because Ukraine has Europe's largest green tariff. It's changing now, it's going down, but nevertheless, it's quite a booming industry here. And so there are some smaller appliances that could be produced here in Ukraine, some water meters, etc. So something which would companies which would be producing stuff for increasing resource efficiency, as Ukraine and our industries and consumer industries overall are rather inefficient in terms of resource consumption. Second area is the post-use materials and products. The largest area where we still see potential, and even though I'm talking, this slide is from 2015, so it's 5 years old, and it still stands. So it means that in 5 years, things haven't moved here in at least Western Ukraine. We're talking about waste of electrical and electronic equipment. Ukraine, VE, there are directives at the EU level where we have to, we cannot bury in the landfills the used appliances, the computers, notebooks, etc. Ukraine is slowly integrating the EU legislation into our law, and the idea is once we start implementing these directives, there would be the need for logistics to actually collect all this waste of electrical and electronic equipment and actually to process that. And Novyi Rozdil wants to be the place for that, invest in Ukraine due to the good logistics, due to the location in the center of the region, and whoever is the first is the then is the winner in that game. And the last one is the bio-based materials and products, is biochemicals, bioplastics, organic fertilizers, bio-based crop protection products, cosmetics. We think it's a far-fetched at the moment for the region. So we have a number of medium companies which are operating in this biochemistry domain. So there are Enzym, for instance, one of the largest in Ukraine producers of the consumer products based on bio, and they are experimenting with biochemicals. So the third block is something for further, maybe in 5-10 years, but that's where the industrial park would want to move. So another project that I want to talk about is biomass for energy, which we were looking at how to develop biomass for energy initiatives, and in general what we have there in the border area of northern Ukraine and southern Belarus. It was the cross-border Belarusian Ukrainian project. We looked at energy crops, we looked at the forest biomass. It's not Lviv region as such, but it's just nearby, and I would say that the information is relevant for our region too. So first of all, you can see here the energy intensity of GDP of Ukraine and other European countries, EU member countries. So that's the data for 2017. And you can clearly see that we are rather energy intensive. So the GDP that we produce from the one equivalent of energy, we require lots of energy to produce GDP, and that means that there is a potential to decrease that. There is a national action plan for renewable energy, and there solid biomass is included there as one of the main contributors. You can see here, like, I will not dwell on each of the slides because of the lack of time, just to give you the understanding that we are not yet there, that the solid biomass is used more extensively and is growing for heat generation. In terms of power generation, is just starting. And also for your information and to understand the context, there are quite often hostile stakeholder, local community reaction to large-scale forest biomass or agricultural biomass energy installation, because people consider that it's dirty, it's pumping ash to the air. So that's there was a number of such scandals in Ukraine when large-scale forest biomass power installations were blocked by local authorities, even though it's good in terms of renewable energy for Ukraine. But on the other hand, there are complications in terms of how to do that. Our region, this data is for northern Ukraine, so our neighbor region, but it's similar to Lviv region. We have a lot of low-grade forest biomass, so it means which is not good for wood processing, for furniture, or for other use, but could be used extensively for production for energy use. Of course, there are other uses that should be considered first, like panel production, and we have all major panel producers are here in Western Ukraine and in Lviv region. Kronospan, Swisspan, etc. So they're all here in producing. But we have also large Ukrainian companies which are competing on the European market for that, Plits, Orest. So panel production is here, but still we have a lot of forest biomass which could be used for our energy needs and for other bioeconomy things.
Sorry, Volodymyr, you have 2 minutes, please.
Wow, so that's rather short. So there's lots of residue in the forest which are not collected. So there is even more than what the eye emits. You can see here also that slowly our internal consumption of wood pellets is growing. So that's an example of how we are slowly adapting to the European patterns. It was the same with Poland when they were producing and exporting to Germany, to the Netherlands. Then slowly they started consuming it in the Polish internal market. And now we are repeating this dynamic. So first we were exporting to Poland. Now more and more it makes sense to consume pellets and briquettes here in Ukraine, and it's becoming more for domestic use. You also see, like this is the data, what you have in Poland, for instance, or Romania, this green charts, and then what we have in blue, it's what is the per capita briquettes consumption and pellets in Ukraine. So I will skip and just show you some examples. It's the latest. I have just maybe 3 slides, so Orest, please bear with me. We just yesterday finished the study. You're the first ones who see this slide, actually. We finished review of the COVID-19 impact on forestry sector in Ukraine. So we had 93 companies from across Ukraine, 15 oblasts, who primarily small businesses. There were some micro and some medium, and a couple of the larger companies who provided the reports. 59 companies out of 93 have decreased their production volume. 34 companies, so 1/3, have lots on their storage in stores, so there is overproduction for quite some time. And quarter of the companies have stopped production and just essentially closed for now, not yet bankrupted, but closed. So just to provide you the context, we're talking for the bioeconomy strategy. So we need to understand that this pandemic severely affected the forestry sector and not only, so and we should take it into consideration. 1/3 considers that they will lose 50% of their turnover. And 25% more think that it will be even more. So essentially 75% of forest sector companies expect at least 50% drop in their turnover for this year. So it's serious impact. 62% are lacking financial resources, liquidity. And for your also understanding, the interest rate for commercial bank loans for companies would be around 15% and hard to get. So just to put it into perspective, that we don't have banking liquidity in euros as Western European countries. Here it's very tough in terms of money, in terms of liquidity. And it's my last slide here, just to provide you understanding in terms of how companies are using any support programs. In green, that would be respondents who are using various programs which are provided for them. We have, for instance, a program which is substituting interest rates. With high interest rate for loans, they're making it cheaper for companies. So in green, you can see that it's 9%, 11% out of this, let's say, 100 companies which we reviewed. And half of companies do not even consider using these programs because they do not trust regional support programs, or it's too bureaucratic. So they are rather do not trust and don't want to use this measure. So whatever we'll be thinking about the bioeconomy strategy, it's important to understand that there is distrust and low pass-through capacity for any policy instruments to go to reach industry, to reach SMEs. That would be a very short run-through of 3 projects that I wanted to present to you. Thank you for your attention. Would be happy to reply then, should you have further questions. So
okay, thank you. Thank you, Vladimir. Thanks a lot. I would ask all members of our participants that you will be able possibility to ask some question for Vladimir later, and we will have approximately 20 or maybe 30 minutes for overall question and answer session. Thanks a lot, dear Vladimir. And dear colleagues, I would like, so Vladimir, can you pass me this ball? Just drag this ball to Orest UNFU.
Let me first find you. Sorry for this. Is it in? Yeah, I got it. Okay.
So, dear colleagues, now I am very glad to say you that there are some other regional stakeholders at our online meetings. First of all, allow me to introduce you Mr. Vadim Tabakera. He represents our regional state administration. He's a large supporter of our bioeconomy strategy. Thank you for participating, dear Vadim. So after that, let me introduce Mr. Vasyl Masyuk. He represents National Forest Administration. He represents some regional association. And thanks a lot, dear Vasyl. And finally, as far as I understand, let me introduce Mr. Yuri Gromok. He represents Regional Forest Administration. All these regional participants are big supporters of our POWER4BIO economy. So, dear colleagues, let me continue. And nowadays, I can share. Yes. Yes. So, dear colleagues, before presenting to you bioeconomy strategy of the Lviv region, we would like to tell you about methodology of its creation. Firstly, about two pillars of our methodology. The first one, forest sector. Forest sector of the Lviv region, the main priority in regard to the regional bioeconomy potential increase. Forest sector of the Lviv region is very important for us. Why? First of all, because of forest resources. Forest land percentage makes up 32%. And, you know, this is 2 times more than in average in Ukraine. Because of industrial potential, you know, forest sector share to the regional industry makes up 32%, 33% in enterprises terms, 17% in number of employees terms, and 14% in turnover terms. Large contribution. And finally, task of the regional forest sector development totally correspond with our strategy of the Lviv regional development. So, secondly, Forest Sector Council. Forest Sector Council of the Lviv region, the main organizational supportive point in regard to the regional bioeconomy strategy. We use it as a regional bioeconomy hub in the Lviv region. You know, our idea in reference to the Forest Sector Council is as follows. Forest Sector Council operates under the umbrella of the state regional administration, and we are able to involve regional authorities in the process of the bioeconomy creation. There are a lot of representatives in our Forest Sector Council from media, civil society, academia, and it's very useful for us. You know that our Forest Sector Council was created in 2016. And according to order of the Lviv State Regional Administration, you can see that our Forest Sector Council operates under the umbrella of Lviv Regional State Administration. A few words about our milestones. We began before POWER4BIO starting in 2015. It was some, I would say, pre-operational work without any concrete goals. In May 2015, we had some discussion with our partners from DVBZ, and in October 2017, we started our conversation with Ignacio in regard to bioeconomy creation, in regard to bioeconomy strategy development. So, from the start of POWER4BIO project to this day, we conducted 11 events. So, it was Forest Sector Council meeting number 1 regarding bioeconomy strategy in the Lviv region. In May 2019, special week sustainable construction. In May 2019, roundtable regarding topical issues of the development for the wood processing industry. In May, Forest Council meeting number 2 about development of the bioeconomy strategy. In June, maybe one of the most important events in our methodology process, visional workshop. After that, roundtable problems and prospects of the technological education. In September, Bioeconomy Smart Specialization. We had very fruitful discussion with EU expert, with Jurgita Petruskine, and with my colleague from Regional State Administration. It seems to me we reach a lot of achievements. In November 2019, Bioeconomy of the Lviv region workshop. In November 2019, workshop within the framework of Forest Sector Council. After that, Forest Council meeting number 3, and we analyzed bioeconomy potential. And in February 2020, roundtable problems of quality products of woodworking and furniture industry. So, in this slide, we would like to show you overall quick progress towards elaboration of the bioeconomy strategy in the Lviv region. As you can see, we started from 0 point in October 2018, and only after 1 year it was determined that bioeconomy is smart specialization. And we support and maybe even initiate creation of the association bioeconomy cluster. And it's very important for us because only 3 years we had the following discussion with the representative of regional state administration. I asked them, you know something about bioeconomy? Yes, we know, but do you know bioeconomy strategy? Of course, no. We have nothing about our bioeconomy strategy movements, and therefore it seems to me for 2 years it's very useful progress for us. So in this slide, dear colleagues, you can see overall quick progress and overall engagement of our Lviv regional stakeholders. As you can see, in the process of the bioeconomy strategy development, we involved some active entrepreneurs. I am talking about family farm, private enterprises, state forest enterprises, associate cluster woodworking industry, and other associations. Of course, we invite in this process non-governmental organization. Of course, we involved Forest Sector Council, Regional State Administration, Regional Forestry Administration, our university, and Agrarian University, and of course, National Academy of Science of Ukraine. So, dear colleagues, we are considering our regional bioeconomy as a complex that consists of 3 components. First of all, forest sector. Secondly, agrarian sector, and thirdly, food industry. Food sector includes forestry and logging, wood processing, furniture production, carpentry production, floor covering and wall facing, roofing works, and pulp and paper industry. Agrarian sector, plant growing, livestock farming, and fish farming. And food sector includes food production, beverage production, and production of tobacco products. So, in this slide, you can see structure of the turnover for the various branches of the Lviv region. As you can see, bioeconomy, share of bioeconomy makes up 54%, and the rest of the regional industry, only 46%. You can see structure of lands of the Lviv region by their purpose. As you can see, agricultural lands make approximately 60%, and more than 30% forest land. So we will discuss later about our potential, but you can understand that agricultural resources and forest resources we considering as 2 main resources for the Lviv region of Ukraine. So, dear colleagues, today at our online meeting participates some other colleague, and I would like to ask my colleague Mikhailo. Mikhailo represents Ukrainian National Forestry University as well. He is responsible person for regional analysis of the bioeconomic potential, and therefore I would like to ask continue. Mikhailo, please continue our presentation.
Thank you. Hello, dear colleagues. In this slide, you can see the dynamics for the development of the forest sector in the Lviv region for 2010-2018. Over the last 3 years of the analyzed period, there was a constant increase the turnover not only in the equivalent of the national currency, but also in the equivalent of US dollars. The number of employed workers increased, and in 2018 it was the largest amount in the bioeconomy sectors of the Lviv region. The number of employed workers was over 20,000. Let's analyze the development of the agriculture sector for the region's economy. We see a significant increase of the turnover in 2018. However, the number of employed workers was almost twice less than in the forest sector. The development picture of the food industry in the Lviv region coincides with the development trends of other sectors of the bioeconomy. In the last 3 years of the analyzed period, the turnover of the food industry is growing rapidly. Every year in the Lviv region is harvested about 1.2 million cubic meters of the liquid timber, including industrial wood and fuel wood. The disappointing trend of the recent years is that the amount of the industrial wood decreases and the amount of the fuel wood increases. The forest sector resource potential is powerful in the Lviv region. As a result of bioeconomy potential analysis in the Lviv region, we have found additional possibilities such as annually about 160,000 cubic meters of waste are formed during the timber harvesting in the Lviv region. Annually about 50,000 cubic meters of residues of forest products are formed at enterprises. There is an uncalculated number of waste which are generated at enterprises, and annually about 123,000 tons of waste in the form of post-consumer wood are generated in the Lviv region. We think that the prospective direction of the forest sector development in the Lviv region are the wooden construction and the production of the fuel pellets and briquettes from wood waste. The agrarian sector of the Lviv region consists of plant growing, livestock farming, and fish farming. Many in the Lviv region grow grains and grain leguminous crops, potato, fodder crops, rice, and soy. In the structure of livestock farming, the share of pigs and poultry is growing due to their breeding on the large farms. Cattle are mainly in the individual farms. In recent years, more and more residents of the rural areas are trying to find a job in the city, which led to a significant reducing in the number of cattle. At present, the waste of the agriculture sector in the form of straw is almost not used and remains on the field. So, the resource potential of straw is very large. In recent years, this is potential only grows, and in 2018, the resource potential of growth was 169,000 tons in the oil equivalent. However, straw can be used not only as an alternative fuel source. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mikhailo. And dear colleagues, I would like to ask other colleague from UNFU, dear Miroslava, please continue. Miroslava, she's a responsible person for some methodological issue. We call Miroslava as an economical guru in our team. Please, dear Miroslava.
Thank you very much. Hello, dear POWER4BIO partners. We have used SWOT analysis as a most appropriate method for assessing the prospects of bioeconomic development in the Lviv region in order to create its bioeconomy strategy. This method, from our point of view, joined the market and sector characteristic, adaptations to the first one, and managing the second one. The logic of our actions was this. From composition of experts to multi-vector metrics of strategic actions to reduce risks in conditions of instability. Let us see in details. To conduct the workshop, we have structured a contingent of participants: regional authorities, business, science, public organizations. The participants were divided into 4 groups. Each group included representatives of each participant's category, and using the method of brainstorming, those groups formulated the assessment parameters of internal and external environment of the Lviv region biosector. As a result, we obtained 20 parameters for internal and external biosector environment assessment: strengths, significant bioresources, advantages region location, industrial hub availableness, weaknesses, absence of the biosector strategy, unsatisfactory biomass use, information support, and collaboration between business, science, and government, shortage of skilled personnel for biosector, opportunities, demand for biofuel and new biotechnologies, international cooperation and investments in bioeconomy, Lviv region development strategy until 2027. Threats: lack of bioeconomy priority and incentive laws in state policy, high cost of credit for business, labor emigration. The parameters formulated by participants, our experts, were evaluated by them at the intersection of their combination on a 10-point scale. 10 points was the highest weight. After processing the results, we obtained weighted averages for all parameters. Final quantitative assessment of strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats showed us the balance of strengths and weaknesses, but predomination of opportunities in comparing with threats. Localization and combination of parameters' quantitative characteristics became the basis for the problem field formation. As an example, you can see the color marking in the slide. The formulated problems, or rather necessary actions, in our opinion, reflect the priority directions of the Lviv region bioeconomic sector development in modern conditions. The score became the basis of ranking specific actions according to their priority. On the top of this list, you can see state support for the development of advanced technologies for bioeconomic sector and the need to increase of biosector investment attractiveness for internal and external investors. Because of specific economic conditions, we didn't choose one type of strategy. We combined the different strategies: matching, conversion, and neutralization for complex Lviv region bioeconomy strategy creation. Thank you for the attention.
So, dear colleagues, it was our presentation in reference to methodology, and I have very nice news for you. We have only one presentation for today, our online meetings, and it will be a presentation in reference to our strategy. So, let me start the final and the most important presentation of today's meeting, where we'll introduce you bioeconomy strategy of the Lviv region. We consider is a draft version, as I mentioned before, and we hope for your amendments, corrections, and remarks. So, we see our bioeconomy strategy as a plan, as a roadmap that consists of three components. Firstly, it's part that we call as specific actions, strategic measures, and players involved. The first part is usual, I would say conventional, traditional part of any strategy. A lot of regions around the world present their strategy in such way. We have decided to add another two components that will make our strategy, at least in our opinion, more comprehensive. The second component of bioeconomy strategy make up main direction of the bioeconomy strategy for the Lviv region. You know that every region of Ukraine, we are talking about administrative units of my country. It seems to me we have 26 administrative units. Sometimes we call it as a region of Ukraine. So every region of Ukraine elaborates its strategy development for the next future 7 years period. Strategy development here means overall development, including not only industry. At the beginning of the last year, elaboration of such strategy was started in our region, in Lviv region, and we, as a team that elaborates bioeconomy strategy, decided to take part in this process, and as a result, we have this component number 2, that we called as bioeconomy is a smart specialization of the Lviv region. And final component of our bioeconomy strategy, we think that current virus outbreak will impact considerably on any region development, and therefore, in the third part of our bioeconomy strategy, we would like to present some thoughts in reference to bioeconomy strategy and implementation in the conditions of the economic crisis. Of course, it seems to me it will be very fruitful discussion with Volodymyr in regard to COVID-19 impact, and it seems to me we will receive some remark from her side. So, vision of the bioeconomy strategy. We elaborated this vision and we say strengthening of the competitiveness for bioeconomy of the Lviv region in our vision through the following issues. Bioeconomy is a locomotive for building the future of a prosperous, sustainable society. Forest sector is the leader of the bioeconomy of the Lviv region. We call this component as awareness raising. Transition from the linear model of the economy to the bioeconomy of closed cycle. And finally, development of the human capital for the bioeconomy providing. On the basis of SWOT analysis and situation analysis, as you saw before in previous presentation, we considered main 4 sectors of our bioeconomy strategy. Resource availability, innovative education and knowledge dissemination, partnership between leaders in the biosector, and competitiveness for the biosector. So each from the first 3 includes 2 subsectors. So resource support and waste management for first one, knowledge and education and dissemination for second, and cooperation and public-private partnership as well for the third one. And competitiveness has only one component. So as a result, there are 7 so-called problem sectors in component 1 of the Lviv regional bioeconomy strategy. We are talking about resource support for the bioeconomy, waste management, competitiveness, public-private partnership, cooperation, knowledge and education, and dissemination. So let's consider in more detail component number 1. Start with resource support for the bioeconomy. Every problem sector we presented in the table. In the first column, you can see strategic measures and regional stakeholders suggested. So that these strategic measures were suggested by our regional stakeholders during our vision workshop and some other workshops. In the second column, there are rates for those measures. In the third one, we presented specific actions and in the last column, players involved. So, for instance, our regional stakeholders marked necessity to develop a strategic balance of timber and agro raw materials, and therefore we have determined that calculation of the amount of bio raw material in the Lviv region will be main strategic component here. Establishment of a regional biomass exchange to facilitate in the second strategic measures have that allow facilitate access to bioresources. And finally, here we suggest to determine the best businesses that based on the regional rating by the additional volume of timber. So, in order to improve the regional system of the waste management, we would like to plan searching for additional sources of biomass, calculation of the amount of waste generated by economy enterprises, and finally, implementation of the resource efficiency system. Competitiveness. Regional expert marked the lack of investment attractiveness here, and therefore development of measures to promote successful businesses models in bioeconomy, increasing the investment attractiveness, providing of the woodworkers rating, supporting export potential, supporting small businesses, and supporting investment attractiveness, we consider as a main priority is this problem sector number 3, competitiveness. So, in our opinion, in order to provide public-private partnership, we have to develop a lot of different programs. First of all, in our opinion, we should elaborate absolutely new state program, regional woodland building. Maybe we will be able to discuss this program later during our conclusions. And after that, we would like to improve regional target program of forestry development. Program of comprehensive and support development of agricultural production. We would like to improve program for increasing the competitiveness in the Lviv region. We would like to strengthen the export promotion center. We would like to develop and improve program of regional competition for local development projects. And we would like to develop the improvement of energy saving program and to develop forest sector activity. Cooperation. Here, our strategy foresees formation of investment program. So, in order to accomplish those tasks, we have to involve representatives from our bioeconomy cluster, representatives from our woodworking industry cluster, representatives from our association of woodworkers and forestry harvesters, all members of our forest sector in solving urgent issues of bioeconomy. It seems to me we have to collaborate with united territorial communities. And finally, we should cooperate with the Center for Business Promotion and Attraction of Euro for Business program. So, knowledge and education. In our view, this part is one of the most important in our strategy, and not only because we represent a university, because it seems to me that in the condition of lack of awareness, in the condition of lack of financing, although research to development measures become extremely viable. In this regard, we foresee here establishment of network of educational scientific institutions. We want to develop research initiatives. We foresee initiation of implementation and promotion of bioenvironmental projects. We want to promote our bioeconomy, to develop educational programs, and to initiate promotion environmental projects and expertise. And dissemination. We think that bioeconomy in the Lviv region needs powerful promotional company, including promotion of bioeconomy ideas, organization conference in bioeconomics, participation in the work profile, publication in the media, forming a cycle of bioeconomy expert, and dissemination of successful samples. So, let's talk about our component number 2. We already mentioned before development strategy of the Lviv region for the period from 2021 to 2027. Within the framework of this strategy, it was elaborated so-called action plan. Action plan for the implementation in 2021-2023 for 7 years period, but action plan for 3 years period. So, there are 5 chapters here in this action plan. Competitive economy based on smart specialization, quality life, balanced spatial development, clean environment, and tourism attractiveness. In our opinion, 2 underlying chapters, number 1 and number 4, are chapters that we consider that are closely related to the regional bioeconomy. As you can see in this slide, in chapter number 1, we have 56 projects, and 36 projects out of 56 are related to bioeconomy. And in chapter number 4, we have as well 56 projects, and 33 projects are related to bioeconomy as well. So, dear colleagues, our team, I mean team from Ukrainian National Forestry University, lobbied bioeconomy as a smart specialization of the Lviv region. We conducted a lot of common meetings, and all regional stakeholders have agreed with this, and we have written in strategy of development that there are 3 main directions here. So first of all, promotion benefits from bioeconomy development. Secondly, effective management. And thirdly, public-private partnership. Let's discuss those 3 directions in more details. In our opinion, the main problem here is the lack of awareness. And therefore, a powerful promotional company priority of the bioeconomy development for the Lviv region is needed. Attraction of powerful media sources and well-developed strategy and popularization and formation of conscious attitude is very important for us here. We think that in this regard, it will be very important creating a center for supporting the development of the bioeconomy in the Lviv region, with the following functions. It seems to me this new center, can analyze the bioeconomy potential, can coordinate the effort in reference to the development of bioeconomy, can set additional sources, can hold the conference, can develop mechanism of the financial stimulation, can search for grant opportunities, and many others. Of course, we understand that all these functions of our future center are disputable points, but nevertheless, it seems to us that creation of this center for supporting the development of the bioeconomy it will be very important for us. So, secondly, we suggest to create an electronic regional biomass exchange only for biomass. And we think that we will be able in a such way to improve overall system in reference to the bioresources providing. And the last, our suggestion, out of 3 previous concerning bioeconomy as a smart specialization in the Lviv region, we would like to develop and improve the Forest Sector Council work. So, UNFU team, on the basis of those 3 directions that we mentioned before, suggested 3 projects for future implementation. The aim of the first project, promotion of the bioeconomy due to the awareness of the importance as a leading direction. And you can see in this slide estimated amount of financing for the 7 years period. It doesn't mean that we have this financing as far as I understand, after consultation with our representative from our regional state administration, in order to receive this financing, we should elaborate, we should suggest some new project. But nevertheless, we suggested this financing in order to implement this direction number 1. Name of the second project, effective management of the region's bioresources based on their accounting and systematization. And purpose of the third, our suggested project, close, mutually beneficial cooperation between businesses, science, and government. So, dear colleagues, in this slide, we would like to present you solution 3. So, as you can see, at the bottom of this slide, that on the basis of the situational analysis, we have determined 7 problem sectors of our strategy: resource support, waste management, competitiveness, public-private partnership, knowledge and education, and dissemination. Then, we have determined only 4 main problems: resource availability, innovative education, partnership between leaders in the bioeconomy, and competitiveness. And in the upper part of the slide, you can see final effects after solving of the real 4 problems. We consider 8 main effects here: real structure of region bioresources, facilitating access to the bioresources and balance of bioproduct export, appearance of the investors, appearance of the regional funds in the field of bioeconomy, innovation, vouchers, consumption of innovating bioproducts, and others. So, finally, we suggest as a set component for bioeconomy strategy of the Lviv region, some other thoughts, maybe some other predictions for regional bioeconomy development. We think we have to agree with us that virus outbreak and analysis of the Volodymyr enterprises agrees with these other thoughts, that overall situation will be changed, and therefore we should take into consideration of all these difficulties. So let's start from positive consequence. In our opinion, if you are talking about some pros during considering impact of the virus outbreak, we should take into consideration the following ones. Humanity will rethink priorities and reorient itself. As for me, an unreal point, but nevertheless. The second one, closing borders will cause benefit for countries that have a lot of renewable resources. And it seems to me Ukraine will benefit. Export-import operation will not be so widespread. And as a result, countries with secular economies will benefit. We have problems with secular economy in Ukraine. So, high unemployment rate is an additional opportunity for bioeconomy to engage new labor forces. So-called healthcare-oriented businesses will develop. In this regard, green care and pharmaceutical industry are components of bioeconomy. Green care, I think you know about it. Green care is a component of forest sector development, and we are talking about very large and very fruitful branch of our forest sector. Raw materials, including renewables, will be cheaper than is considerable advantage for bioeconomy. And finally, the state will manage social and other necessary businesses, including the bioeconomy. So, let's discuss about minuses. First of all, in our opinion, quarantine measures will cause considerable economic crisis. Global recovering will not be concerned with the problems of bioeconomy. It seems to me this may be the most important point of these minuses. Unemployment will cause movement of the labor workforce towards so-called usual conventional businesses. The crisis will hit poor countries, and therefore Ukraine will fall more than others. Bioeconomy. Bioeconomy is not very profitable industry, and it will be hard to develop it. You know, it seems to me in this situation will be work so-called roof of air plan. You know this rule of air plan because according to this rule, in emergency case, we have to put on oxygen masks on themselves first, and after that to put on a child that are closed. And therefore, it seems to me that we have the same rules here. Substantial financial aid package will be possible only for rich countries, and the pandemic will pass, and everyone will forget, and nothing will change. So, question is very important for us: how to neutralize negative impacts? So, we would like to present you a logical chain of our thoughts here. First of all, according to some experts of Ukraine, GDP due to quarantine will down to 8 or maybe 10%. As a result, Ukrainian region will need a huge financial aid for recovering its economic ability. It will be negative impact of the implementation of the bioeconomy strategy in the Lviv region because of, first of all, lack of financing, and secondly, recovering will not be concerned with the problems of bioeconomy. In our opinion, we have to act using uneconomic methods. We must change paradigm of our development. So, you know, this is a phenomenon, but it seems to me this phenomenon is very suitable for present days. Phenomena, why? Because we would like to suggest so-called uneconomic method in order to solve economic problems. But it seems to me that it will be very suitable at present times. So, we have to create, as a result, favorable conditions for bioeconomy development. And therefore, in our opinion, such direction as knowledge and education, powerful promotional media company, and rising attractiveness for the regional bioeconomy will be our priorities in our future strategy, bioeconomy strategy development. So, dear colleagues, finally, conclusions. Sometimes I use such very effective as for me instruments, and I am trying to ask myself some questions instead of conclusions, and after that I will try to answer those questions. So, question number 1. Do you consider in bioeconomy strategy of the Lviv region any priority direction within the framework of the forest sector development? Yes. In our opinion, there is agreed opinion in the Lviv region that one of the most perspective direction in the bioeconomy could be wood constructions, or maybe wood building, or maybe wooden building. It's extremely important to elaborate a regional state program of this direction support because of, first of all, development of the green tourism in the Carpathian region of Ukraine. You know that the Lviv region is a part of the Carpathian region, and therefore it seems to us that such program will be very suitable in this direction. Development of the all branches of the forest sector will be very useful for us as well. It seems to me that these state programs can foresee necessity to produce, for example, doors, floors, and furniture only from making enterprises. And therefore, in our opinion, wooden building development will lead to development of other branches of all regional forest sector. So there are a lot of environmental and health advantages here as well. So question number 2. What about making energy with wood in the Lviv region? Its perspective direction for the Lviv region. You hear a presentation from Volodymyr, but there are some limits here, at least in our opinion. First of all, expensive logistic services make sometimes this business unprofitable. In the period of the successful industrial development in the region, there is hard competition for the wood waste, and therefore it's necessary to find additional wood resources. And finally, uneven presentation of the producers, customers, traders, and suppliers in the market chain here, and therefore we are talking about some difficulties. Question number 3. What about making energy with agricultural waste in the Lviv region of the Ukraine? We are going to suggest for our regional stakeholders at least 12 different projects elaborated by Bioenergy Association of Ukraine. There is a very powerful association in Ukraine, Bioenergy Association, including calculation in reference to their needed financing, profitability, and payback period. And as you can see, we presented here all possible 12 projects: collection, baling, sale, production and sale of granules with agrarian waste, boiler house, thermal power plant, boiler house based on corn, thermal power plant based on corn, and something like this. And finally, production of the second generation bioethanol from straw. So, question number 4. Which enterprises are you going to support in the Lviv region bioeconomy strategy? In our opinion, bioeconomy strategy has to support mainly SMEs. We think that we have to support their development, initiate creation of the enterprises with understanding of the bioeconomy importance, creative thinking, environmental thinking, and bias towards digitalization. Question number 5. How are you going to support bioeconomy SMEs in the Lviv region? In our opinion, we are talking about state support programs, support of the export possibilities, research and development support, consultancy support, and grant support. Question number 6. What about so-called deep chemistry treatment within the framework of your bioeconomy strategy? It's extremely important for the future regional development to produce such bioproducts as biofuel, biofibers, and to support all biorefinery enterprises. But at present, it's extremely expensive for the Lviv region and for Ukraine. In this direction, we have to attract foreign investment. This plant, I am talking about plant from our previous question, that will produce second generation of bioethanol. At the overall cost of this plant makes up 100 million euro. It's an incredible sum for Ukraine, and therefore we understand that it's very important for us, but in this case, it seems to me we have to attract foreign investments. And last question number 7. You consider investment as one of the most important factors for the bioeconomy development. Are there some 100% reasons that should push the businessmen to invest money to the Lviv region? In our opinion, yes. And of course, in order to attract foreign investment, it seems to me we can use the following available renewable resources. We should remind 1.2 million cubic meters of wood and approximately 170,000 tons of agricultural waste in oil equivalent. We will have strategy of the bioeconomy development. So we have a very strong state-private partnership. We have favorable geographical location of the Lviv region and low cost of labor force. At least for today, this is a disputable question, but nevertheless, it seems to me it's our favorable question. So, dear colleagues, I finished our presentation. It was the last presentation, at least for today, and according to our schedule, now we have question session. So, question session. It seems to me we keep our agenda, and dear colleagues, dear participants of our online meeting, please be active, and we are expecting your question. Please, dear colleagues.
Yes, I got a question, Orest. First of all, thank you very much for the presentation and for the explanations about Lviv region. It was really helpful in order to proceed with next VPs and next task. And the question is, considering you are a forest and among other fields an environmental teaching university, have you considered to implement or does already exist in the country any specific bioeconomy academic program, such as a bachelor degree, master degree, or PhD program? Because taking into account the opportunities of the region and also the teaching of your university, and also considering other experience, for example, in Germany, and also Italy, I think the implementation of some academic programs related to bioeconomy would be a really good opportunity to broaden the spectrum of bioeconomy.
So, thanks a lot for your question. It's a very important question. My dream is to open new educational program, and something like we saw in Italy. And it seems to me it will be master degree program, and the title will be bioeconomy production, or maybe something like this. There are some difficulties here. Why? Because we should cooperate within the framework of some complex of universities. We are talking about some fruitful cooperation between my universities, classical universities, and some other universities. But, within the framework of this, our future center that will suggest our bioeconomy development, it seems to me we will be able to open some new educational programs as well. For example, in my university, 1 year ago, we have opened new educational program with title New Innovational Startups for the sector. And it seems to me we are on the first stage of our bioeconomy development, and maybe after the promotional company, after some discussion with our university, it seems to me we will be able to open a new educational program. It's very important for me because within the framework of lack of awareness and lack of financing, it seems to me education is the most important part here. Thanks a lot.
May I make a very short comment? Francesca Natali from Meta Group.
Please, Francesca, please.
Okay. I fully agree with you that especially when there is a lack of financing opportunities, it's really crucial to invest into training and education, because it is the starting point to create awareness and to convince relevant stakeholders to invest and to support bioeconomy strategies. The money is out there. I mean, there is not, in general speaking, there is not a lack of money. You should know where to knock and to present effective and well-shaped project and measure. That's why it's so important to invest into training and into education, and it's also, I mean, not only for startups, but also for regional stakeholders, because they are more traditional, they are more conservative, and they should understand the benefit and the advantages to have an effective regional bioeconomy strategy.
Thanks a lot, Francesca. We completely agree with you. Thank you for your comment. Other comments, please, dear colleagues?
Orest, can you hear me? This is Ignacio speaking.
Please, Ignacio.
Yes, I have a couple of questions for Vladimir, if I am allowed it.
Okay, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Vladimir, for the presentation. I was wondering, when listening to you presenting the case in this industrial park, if I understood correctly, and I was thinking whether you have mapped and scanned the different waste streams in this industrial site, right? And then in particular, whether you have identified excess heat streams, which could be valuable for heating and cooling purposes or for industrial symbiosis purposes also. This is one point. And I would like also to kindly ask you two more things regarding two remarks you made. Firstly, about the policies that, in your view, as you explained, are not very much reaching SMEs, right? Then it is also part of the challenges that we are dealing with in the POWER4BIO, is how to implement, increase the knowledge of incentives, permits, anything that we can bring of value to the regulatory environment. Then any comment in this regard would be very much appreciated, also to adapt it, take into consideration. And last but not least, I was also thinking, but very much in line with Francesca's comment, is you mentioned the lack of liquidity in terms of the financial situation in the region. Then it is also part of the exercise under development in the project. Then anything that you think could be or should be mentioned, we are very welcome to listen to you. Thank you very much, Vladimir.
Okay. Thank you. Vladimir, please.
Yeah, regarding the Novyi Rozdil Industrial Park, we have not mapped this heat streams because there is nothing to map because it's 2,000 hectares of complete mayhem. Yeah, so it's dilapidated former sulfur mining area. So it's kind of you can shoot their horror movies on that site. So we just cleaned up 46 hectares there. So it's essentially just prepared phase one stage, and there is no industry around that we can link to. So essentially, it's like now it's redeveloped brownfield. So for the first question, that would be the answer. In terms of the third question, I will start from the end about the policies and how to which policies would work. Like, I would strongly consider the partners, and especially the Lviv partners who are working on the strategy, to actually have policies. Yeah, so it's not about developing measures for something. So it's not policy. Policy is concrete instrument which would have measurable impact and would reach the SMEs, actual SMEs. So my recommendation in terms of liquidity and the policy instruments would be to look at some revolving funding mechanisms when you put some money and then, for instance, the communities would make some savings from the energy projects by using closed loop solutions, using local biofuels, and then would slowly pay back into this fund that other communities could be using. So setting up such local financial, and at the regional level, it makes sense. I think that would be the way to look at. Also, the strategy should link to the changes in the at the national level, because Ukrainian government is also putting in place such schemes as the 579 loan program, when the interest rates are lowered to respectively 5%, 7%, and 9%. And it's the government is actively pumping money there. The program just started this year, and it will be evolving, and it's across the country, across Ukraine. So the regional government could kind of nudge SMEs from the bioeconomy sector by providing either grants, kind of you can use the credit loans from this government program, and then there could be the grant money, or maybe some reimbursement of the interest rate for the business models which make sense for the region. So I would look at those flexible, scalable financial policies that would outreach to more than one SME, but how we can reach help 10, 20, 30 SMEs through such policy instruments, which are smartly designed in combination with the national programs. That would be the policy I would look at. Sorry, Ignacio, if you can repeat the second question, because I think I kind of lost it.
Well, as a matter of fact, they were both very linked to each other. Policies, not only talking about permits and technical issues, but also how to link finance regulation and governance, which you explained briefly. Then they are very much interlinked.
I would also think my suggestion would be to look at the demand side policy, because I saw in the presentation of Orest about bioethanol, etc. But actually, you should know that there is no business there, because the regulatory framework is not there. So none will be investing in any bioethanol. It even was a disaster in the European Union, and I think those of you who know, they know. So there is no yet market for that. It's not working. So it works only and when there is regulation or there are subsidies, then the market would work. And I doubt that Lviv region can do something here. It's a national legislation level thing. So I wouldn't go into any bioethanol. But I would instead consider how could the region kind of nudge again by providing some financial incentives to the communities to use bioresources, or for SMEs not to throw things but to recycle. So something that would create demand, or maybe marketing campaigns in terms of organic or bio, because Ukrainians are kind of in the trend. We're getting there. But still awareness on the bio products, it's very low. So what kind of SMEs do you expect, or innovation you expect, when there is no demand for innovative products? People even don't care, don't understand why they should pay more for that. So there is no business case. So I would be looking into the regulations or policies, let's put it that way, not only regulations, that would promote also demand for such new products. and scalability of profitable business models in the bioeconomy, and they have to be identified. So it cannot be like the strategy for general promotion awareness on something which doesn't make sense economically. So money should be there, jobs should be there, and the policy should support such initiatives and things. Thank you.
Second, remind you that in 10 minutes we will have workshop, and therefore the theme of our workshops, there are some questions in reference to lack of awareness, lack of financing, and we will be able to discuss all these questions during our workshop. But nevertheless, please, your question, dear colleagues.
May I ask a question?
Please, please.
Martin van der Oever speaking from Wageningen, the Netherlands. My question is, in case eventually you like to attract foreign investments, how does Lviv region approach that? So,
thanks a lot. It seems to me in this case we are talking about a strong promotional company. We should attract foreign investment by suggesting some supportive mechanism, by suggesting some additional conditions. It seems to me we can attract our foreign investment by existence of bioeconomical potential, by existence of some private state partnership, and by maybe suggestion of some favorable business conditions. During my presentation, I wanted that you understand that we had some difficulties in reference to our internal financing, because as you can understand, all our regional budget was located through a lot of consumers, through a lot of branches, associations, and something like this. And it seems to me after our normalization situation regarding COVID-19, we will have a lot of problems, because imagine yourself that we will discuss some bioeconomy questions with representatives of our, I don't know, maybe regional authorities or maybe something like this. Environmental questions, bioeconomy questions, how a lot of difficulties we have in our region in regard to thus survival of any enterprises, and therefore it seems to me foreign investments will be very important. How to attract? Frankly speaking, I discussed this question with representatives of internal enterprises. They all agreed that nowadays, unfortunately, they are talking about low-cost labor force. And after that, we take into consideration availability of bioeconomical resources and some other favorable questions. But at present, it seems to me a low labor force is a first and maybe attractive point for foreign investment. Of course, we are talking about business climate, and it seems to me we have a very fruitful discussion with representatives of regional administration. And in the case of willingness from abroad to put some money, it seems to me we will be able to provide some business climate conditions for foreign investors as well. Thank you, Martin. Other question, please?
Thank you very much.
Sorry, Orest, can I jump here also to...
Please, Volodymyr, please.
Because I don't think everything is so gloomy as you said. I mean, we have the foreign investment agency, Ukrainian Invest, which is operating at the national level, which provides support to foreign direct investors to Ukraine. Yes, we are not the Singapore of the Eastern of Europe, but then there are like the investment conditions overall are quite okay. So it's a rather question about where the investors should invest, where there is the business case, so where they can earn. I think that there is a potential for bioeconomy in terms of energy crops, and that's where the local and regional authorities especially have to kind of set up contracts and set up their part of the creation, so that we have lack of companies in Ukraine. Overall, there are maybe 2 companies which are operating at scale in the energy crops. There are some issues with the business case, but they're solvable. There is nothing extraordinary. So, and I think, in my opinion, that that's one of the areas which is we can focus, because we have a lot of degradable land which is not suitable for agriculture and which is perfect for energy crops, which could be used in the closed loop at the local level. So that's where foreign investors and expertise would be very welcome. And I also disagree that it's also about labor, cheap labor. We're not that cheap anymore, and there are good engineering and technical skills. So we're an IT center, and quite many R&D centers are now being located here. So I think we need to, within the strategy, also look at the potential where there could be kind of R&D centers related to bioeconomy, which would slowly kind of infiltrate the regional economy here. So we should be smart about the investment and look not only at the low end, but also the high end, high skilled, which we quite good actually here.
Thank you, Vladimir. So, dear colleagues, now time of our workshop. What about your questions? It seems to me you will be able to ask some of your questions maybe after our workshop. Let me start our workshop, and I would like to ask Miroslava to open our workshop. Dear Miroslava, please.
Thank you. Dear partners, our workshop has 3 goals. The first one, brainstorming should reveal the disadvantages and advantages of the strategy presented to you in general now, and priority evaluation of the bioeconomy strategy questionnaire sended you in advance. Its structure, content, and concrete actions in their priority. Please comment on what you think is relevant and what is not. The second one, it is very important for us to get answer to the question how to develop the regional bioeconomy in the poor awareness conditions. And the last, it is equally important for us to understand how to develop the regional bioeconomy in the lack of financing conditions. We suggest around 2.5 minutes to each country representative for a brief oral comments and answers to 2 mentioned above questions. Please take into consideration that we have 2.5 minutes only for each country, not for each partner. We have 10 countries and 16 partners, except Ukraine, of course. Let us start with the alphabet. Number 1 is Belgium, please.
So, thank you, Miroslava. And before starting, I would remind you that we are expecting from you your written answers in reference to questionnaire that was sent to you, and we already received some answers from you, but nevertheless, maybe after our online meetings, you will be able to add something more at your questionnaire, or maybe make some comments. Please be so kind, send us your written comments. And now we start some oral suggestion from you. Please, representatives from Belgium.
Hi, Orest, is Dries here.
Yes.
Thank you. Do you hear me?
Yes. Please, yes, we can hear you.
Thanks. Well, thanks a lot for this meeting and presentations. I also regret that we can't be in Lviv ourselves, because I looked very much forward to it. And I'm very impressed by the work you have done on the bioeconomy strategy preparation that you have presented. I hope you will distribute the PowerPoints afterwards to everybody. Now, From my point of view, I think you have done a very good job in establishing your bioeconomy strategy. It's very, very nicely done, and I'm very impressed. The only minor, and I really have to stress that it's minor, it's an additional point. The only minor addition that I would add is to look at foreign investment, because you have an advice for improving the competitiveness of local SMEs. That means going into the global market, and that will not work without foreign help. And secondly, if you want to inspire local SMEs to go into the bioeconomy or to develop bioeconomy activities, it is important to have also not only SMEs but large companies available locally that are working in this sector. We have here in Flanders clusters of collaborating companies. There's always have to be a few what they call focal companies, big companies, among which the smaller SMEs crystallize, so to speak, in the longer term. So you need larger companies in this sector specifically. Practically, if you think about developing wood construction, you need to work together with the National Agency of Foreign Investment to go for specialized attraction campaigns to attract large companies that develop wood construction components. I mean, the Scandinavian paper and pulp factories are now all going into wood construction. They're developing new technologies, new structures, new models, and they are looking for places to invest. So they are developing the technology for this, and they are maybe interested of investing in a factory. But these large companies create possibilities for local SMEs, and this should be a practical activity that should also be part of the bioeconomy, I think. That's my main remark. For the rest, I would really advise you to continue the way you're doing.
Thanks a lot, Darius. It's very useful. And I other partners, and it seems to me we will publish all this presentation in reference to large enterprises. I agree with you partly, but this is hard discussion. Nevertheless, let's continue, and I would like to ask representatives from Czech Republic, please.
So hello everybody. Thank you for a perfect presentation of your strategic goals and visions, and also for all information which were sent us in the previous. So I had some comments, but I think that some of them were mentioned in the previous speakers, and to some of my comments I received answers during your presentation. So my two comments regarding the materials of the strategic components. You mentioned many times during your presentation that sustainability point of view must be stressed, and also some kind of circular bioeconomy also need to be involved in these features and visions. So it was my two remarks, because a part of that presentation that you are aware of all of that, I didn't see it in this written text, in this strategy components, just to be stressed as in a very important position. Just comments, and these two questions. Something which I'd like to add to maybe both of these questions, because poor awareness and lack of financing conditions. It's a very common problem, I think, for all Central European countries. We have to deal with that, and it's not so easy to tell where to start and what is more important. I think it's a very comprehensive question just to connect these two things: awareness of society, of business, of people, of students, as you mentioned, this education system, etc., and also just some ways how to find mix of financial resources. As a previous speaker told, even the large company, in my opinion, is also important. And what I like to add, it's culture, special culture situation. In Czech, for instance, it's culture barriers in people, in their style of thinking, very traditional way of using materials. So I don't know your situation, but each marketing process, each process which you want to put into awareness of society that there is a new possibility for economy, must keep to account these cultural differences or cultural specialities. And the last, that maybe financial resources, there are several ways which were mentioned, but these financial resources could be put together for one project from more region, not just after this European Union project, but just a cooperation between 2, 3, 5 regions, just to gather idea and money. If there is a lot of money in several regions, maybe they can put it together. So that's all from my side. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot for your suggestion. Let's continue with Germany. There are 4 enterprises that participating in our project, but nevertheless, please, Germany representatives.
Hello, everybody. Yes. So we, after revising the document that you sent us, that we agree, as the other participants have already mentioned. You have done quite a lot of work to come out with these specific actions that you sent us. In particular, we would like to recommend you, since you presented before as well during the meeting today, that you actually count with a lot of agricultural resources. This will be one of our recommendations to include here also in your specific actions, particularly in the C-section partnership between leaders and government, that you will also start including not only the forest sector and all the representatives of the woodworking industry, but also to start opening opportunities, looking forward to include much more of those agriculture actors and the agriculture sector into activities that perhaps right now are not that developed, but that might develop after the 7 years of applying these specific actions. No? Apart from that, we definitely think that there's some actions from here that could be facilitated through the regional bioeconomy hub or cluster, and that the continuation of that group, the continuation of the networking activities between them might facilitate a lot of these specific actions that you have generated. Even more, something that we can continue working in the following months in the Power4Bio, it's also our recommendation to start to define within these specific actions responsibility or who are the responsible institutions at the regional level, who are the ones that are going to be taking care not only of the implementation of these actions, but also of the monitoring after a while, after 2-3 years, monitoring if the specific actions planned in the roadmap are being applied, if it has made any impact, if the impact is the one that is expected, and if not, what is the process that is going to be implemented to come up with a revision of that roadmap and inclusion of new actions.
Okay, thanks a lot, dear Laura. And additionally, I would like to say you many thanks for your support in reference to this online meeting organization. We appreciate your support. Thanks a lot, Laura. So let's continue. Do we have a representative from Greece? No. Let's continue with Hungary. Please, representative from Hungary.
Hello, everyone. This is Nora speaking from Hungary.
Yes.
First of all, thank you very much for your excellent presentation, for you, Orest, and also your colleagues, and organizing this unusual press visit event. And I would like to also to apologize for not sending earlier the questionnaire filled in. We have just sent it today. Sorry for that, we somehow missed it. To answer your question and say some comments, I think we all can agree that the funding and the financial field is very important and is of basic importance in bioeconomy development. And it is reflected in your questions, in the questionnaire, and also in our answers. And we would like to emphasize one point, one approach, which is the cascading financing scheme. This is something that we would like to emphasize also in the related stakeholders in our own country, Hungary, and this would be a cascading financing mechanism which takes into account the different development stages of the bioeconomy solutions, and this funding would be aligned to these different stages according to the different technology readiness level of the solutions. And this is important because on the different stages, on the different levels, different stakeholders have to be funded and supported financially, and of course the scale of the funding has to be aligned also to the different stages. So we think that this cascading funding system would make sense in the bioeconomy development in all regions in CE. That's all from our part. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you a lot. So let's continue. Representative from Italy, please. You have Spring in the matter, please.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Sarah from Spring. I want also
Hello,
to
Sarah.
thank
Yes.
you for the presentation. You did a huge job, and just two things that were already mentioned before during this morning. I also think that it's quite important to have some large enterprise involved in the process, and this is because maybe it make it easier to build a value chain and to spread also the financial risk among the actors in the value chain, and regarding the financial aspects, the possibility to have multiple actors working on a business model, it may be easier also to have large and small enterprises in order to involve also the public sector, let's say in some kind of public-private partnership, because no one is taking all the financial risk on its own. Just one more thing about the awareness and what Danny said before about academy programs and something like that. You know that we in Italy and we as Spring organize a master on bioeconomy, and I just want to say that maybe we can discuss about this thing and see if we can maybe share something or do something together in order to use what we have already done and see if there's something that can be useful for you and vice versa.
Okay, thanks a lot, dear Sarah. It will be very useful for us. And maybe small comments in reference to the large enterprises involvement. Of course, we are going to involve large enterprises, of course, but it seems to us that we should support mainly SMEs. But nevertheless, it's a question for our future discussion. Thanks a lot. And after that, representative from Netherlands.
May I say something? Sorry, a very short comment from Meta Group again. Sorry if I interrupt you.
Please.
Again, in terms of shaping an appropriate financing instrument and to decide who are the final beneficiary of the measure you are thinking to implement, I believe that the starting point should be to assess in depth who are your final beneficiary and what they need in order to select the most appropriate ones and to shape appropriate and tailored scheme and measure that can fit their expectation. So the starting point should be a sort of an ex-ante assessment, and then moving from the result of the assessment to shape the policy and the strategies, and then the tools that will be into the schemes. So starting from the demand side.
Okay, we understand you. Thanks a lot. So we will continue. Do we have a representative from Netherlands?
Yes, Martin speaking.
Yes, please.
Regarding awareness, I guess you think about all channels one may think of. By accident this morning, I apologize. I saw in the chemistry handbook of my 14-year-old daughter, it is about bioethanol, it's about biomaterials. That's where it starts. So don't forget also to educate teenagers, because they will be your next students that come to visit your courses to be set up. Well, regarding collaboration and attract means, financial means, I think my topic has been also addressed by other speakers before me already. So thank you.
Thanks a lot. I will be very glad to be a teacher of your daughter. Thanks a lot. And after that, representative from Poland.
This is Alexandra from Mazovia Energy Agency. First,
please.
First of all, thank you, Orest, for presenting current state of bioeconomy in Ukraine. I think that your bioeconomy strategy and priority directions are very well thought out and planned. It looks very professional. More cooperation between the public and private bioeconomy sector is missing for me. So if possible, you can consider this issue deeper. And in reference to other questions, I think that an interdisciplinary team of experts should be created to develop bioeconomy strategies who have knowledge and experience also in marketing and promotional activities in the media like posters, television, social media, and cooperation with local governments is an essential element for improving awareness of the public. And organize and promote consultations meetings with residents, regional authorities, and try to convince them that they also have an impact on the development of the region. Because if people think that voice is important and they also can do it something, they can involve more in any activities. Also talks about the needs of local and regional enterprises, include them in the strategic document, and about the lack of financing conditions. I think it's very difficult for all of us, but maybe we should look for some savings and other sources of financing about like ESCO, crowdfunding, EPC contracts. Also, I think it is worth to interest regional authorities, which may be willing to launch initiatives and allocate funds for the bioeconomy. And it could improve and speed up the development of the bioeconomy in the region.
Okay, thanks a lot. So, dear colleagues, according to our agenda, we have to finish, but it seems to me we have 2 countries more and maybe some next conclusions and final words, and therefore we need maybe 15 minutes. Allow me to continue our meeting and expire to 15 minutes. So, thanks a lot. Slovakia. Do we have representatives from Slovakia?
Yes, I am here. We are. I am here. Well, Danka.
Danka.
So, Orest, firstly, thank you very much for a very precise presentation and a lot of inspiring issues which were mentioned there. What I would like to say concerning those questions, to answer your questions is very complicated task. But what I maybe mention on behalf of our standpoint to the vision of your strategy, the public awareness and awareness in general of all relevant stakeholders in bioeconomy sector it is a very complicated task because it's a long-term process. And if we miss public discussion, as in Slovakia too, this is then complicated because the university or some individual project, they cannot force this public discussion. We need the support of media, as Alexandra mentioned as well. And what I see as maybe future role of universities is to include this citizenship science. But it is not something what is well known in post-socialist countries, and I think that it is a way how maybe to deal with this issue, to increase the public awareness. But it needs to be supported also at the national level, because without a motivation to public discussion about the role of bioeconomy, only individual activities cannot increase or help to increase this issue. And the lack of financing condition, it was mentioned here more times that effective combination of public and private sources is crucial, and it needs to be offered as complementary opportunity in comparison to financing possibilities from European funds or from national budget. So,
okay, thanks a lot, Danka. And last but not least country, Spain, please. Who will be present? Spain, Dani or Ignacio?
I can also speak from Andalusian side in Spain. Orest?
Please.
Okay, it's Nati speaking from Andalusia region. First of all, I just want to congratulate you for the very well presented strategy. I'm honestly very impressed with the development of your bioeconomy strategy in such a short time and with a high level of detail. And as we've already mentioned in the questionnaire that we sent you, the first point, and it has already been mentioned, the awareness among the younger generation is very important, and you can take advantage of this as you are working at the university as a professor. And so then concepts of bioeconomy, circular bioeconomy, biorefineries can be spread among the students to foster also their understanding, and then possibly entrepreneurship sense to favor spin-offs, startups, and SMEs regarding the bioeconomy from this point. It's very important to share initiatives and interests and to hold bioeconomy events as you've already been doing, and also showing the potential of the biomass industry in your region. Now, actually, you can take advantage of the current situation and try to think out of the box using all the available resources that you show us today. And well, just to summarize also regarding the finance conditions that you have in your region, it's important to have a basis analysis of the biomarket to understand the behavior and how the business can work. And this is just a summary because I think you can find more ideas in the questionnaire, and I know that we don't have much time, so I would prefer to stop here, and we can be in touch if you need any more explanation. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So it will be the last country, and maybe Zora anything else that want to express their thought in reference to our bioeconomy strategy presentation. Maybe some representatives from Ukraine want to say something. So, if there are no person who want to participate in our online meeting and continuation, dear colleagues, Summarizing our online meeting, first of all, I would like to say thank you for your participating in this online meeting. It is very important for us because, you know, bioeconomy strategy for us is not only paper. Of course, we hope that we will be able to implement our strategy, and we hope that we will be able to create a very useful and very fruitful and what is more, a very real bioeconomy strategy. And we do hope that our bioeconomy strategy will help our regional development and our national development. All your comments were very important for us, very useful and very fruitful. And of course, we will think about additional involvement of our large enterprises in our bioeconomy strategy implementation. So, thank you for your time. Thank you that you invest your time in our online meeting. Thank you for your participation. And in reference to next steps, you know that we will organize a meeting for our regional stakeholders, maybe in the end of this year, after the normalization of situation concerning virus outbreak. And on this regional meetings, it seems to me we will be able to conduct Forest Council meeting with involvement of some representatives. And during this meeting, we will present our bioeconomy strategy, maybe with some changes after today's online meetings. Anything else, or we can finish our online meetings? Maybe, do we have Ignacio, or maybe Laura can say something finishing our meeting, or maybe Istvan?
In our case, in Circe case, just saying thank you for your presentation. I can see that we are very aligned, and it was a really helpful conversation with you all. And that's all from Circe side.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks
for... Please.
From Aki's side, thank you very much, Orest. It was a very awesome and fruitful discussion regarding your bioeconomy situation in the Lviv region. Thank you very much again. You're hired.
Okay. Thanks a lot. So, dear colleagues, thanks you for the participation. Thanks a lot for your efforts, and I hope we will meet soon, and we will be able to visit my beautiful country and my beautiful region, and one of the most beautiful cities around the world, Lviv. Thanks a lot for your participation. See you soon, dear colleagues.
Thank
you. Bye.
Hope to visit you.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Thank you very much. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.